and thanks to Richard and everyone else who's organised this festival. It's a great pleasure to be here. Is that kind of audible if I do that from here? Okay. Joachim du Bellay was a 16th century French poet, and he worked for a long time in an administrative role in Rome, working for a French cardinal diplomat, and he writes this sort of non-Petrarchan sonnet sequence, kind of recording his day-to-day experience, and the book's called Les Regrets, the regrets. He's basically moaning about admin. These translations refract du Bellay through my own experience as head of department at Essex University. They speak for themselves. I'll read 14 of these and then hand back to Anthony. Number 1. I'm not going to theorise about the human genome. I'm not going to ask about big data. I'm not going to draw a plan of future media, nor do I propose to explore the mud of the cone with robotic fish. I don't paint my pictures in such rich colours or seek such lofty subjects for my verse. Keeping an eye on shit that happens, the bad, the worse, I take a pen or chalk and write what comes. I moan right here if I had something to moan about, make a joke of it, or if I wish to act the whistleblower, speak out loud in the sure knowledge that no one ever reads poems. I don't tart them up to look presentable at award ceremonies. Knackered times require knackered words, but regard them as no more than minutes or blogs. 10. It is not the rubbish-heaped banks of this Essex river. It is not the exhaust-filled air, nor North Hill barbers, which makes me pour out my misery in verse. No, the problem, Atkins, is not merely aesthetic. It is the constant struggle against boredom here, nailed like Prometheus to Clingo Hill, and this futile hope which holds me here as capitalism unrolls its business plans on campus. And so, if Ovid in exile bought Teach Yourself Geetic, since nobody could figure out what he was saying, who can blame me for abandoning the avant-garde in Colchester? Nobody, for the delights of language poetry are, in this Essex backwater, understood by none. 33. This is about Glenn Maxwell, who used to teach at the University of Essex. Maxwell, what do you think I should do? Should I stay on in this benighted campus where they fucked you about so badly, offering you an interview for the job you'd already secured, then changing the date at the last minute so you couldn't make it, before telling you to fuck off altogether? Or should I apply for that chair at UEA before the opportunity has melted like last year's snow? If I stay at Essex, it will be to waste my time imagining things will come right here. And if I look for tenure elsewhere, all the work I've done will turn to nothing. I'll stick it out. No, fuck the lot of them. I'm off. Maxwell, say something. I'm in two minds what to tell my feet. 39. I love anarchy, and I'm head of department. I don't like management and must manage. I don't like acting and must play a part. I love the simple and must privilege the virtual. I'm not interested in budgets and work for accountants. I don't like league tables and must prize them. I like to be straight up. My employer says we need to have a conversation. I seek virtue and find only the Vice Chancellor. I want space to write and cannot find it. I don't like business and must write business plans. I don't like arguing, but must justify every decision with a bar chart. I am sick at heart and must act upbeat. I was born for the muse, and my job is to manage. Am I not, Schmidt, the unluckiest man alive? 51. Nay, let us embrace bad luck, for nobody can be certain of having good, and the bad always gives you a little hope, as luck of its very nature changes from day to day. The wise motorist is always wary of the M25, knowing that free-flowing traffic does not flow freely for long. And isn't it better to smile when stuck in a jam rather than to rant and rave like a bedlamite? Good luck is deceptive. A run of bad can teach you caution. The former infantilizes, the latter breeds stoicism. One is attractive but lies, the other helps us tell our friends and enemies apart and helps us know ourselves a little better. 53. Let us live tackling and fuck the Puritans. Let's push the boat out, for life is sweet but short as well. Think of Vicious, Panic, Blair. The sun sinks every night, comes back at dawn, and global warming continues to accelerate, but when a man loses this sweet light, it is snuffed out for good. Shall we live the life of zombies then? Bollocks to that. Let's smoke a big cigar and listen to Dylan again while we still can. Only an idiot would give up the certainty of immediate pleasure in the hope of a longer retirement. Let's do it. The time is right, and the time is now. It is 9:15 p.m. in Hong Kong and 1:15 p.m. in Wivenhoe. 79. I do not write of free love. Students are off limits. I do not write of beauty surrounded by brutalism. I do not write of kindness where people are resources. I do not write of pleasure. I live in essence. I do not write of happiness. I am not content. I do not write of favours. I am applying for promotion for the third time. I do not write of treasures when our pensions are being robbed. I do not write of health. I live in Essex. I do not write of the in crowd. I am far from the VC. I do not write of Ireland. I have been away too long. I do not write of honours, for they give them away. I do not write of friendship where all is famed. I do not write of virtue. There is none here. I do not write of knowledge where managers reign. If I go to graduation day, I find nothing but false pride, inappropriate footwear, trite speeches, and empty ceremony. The sounds of unfree, free jazz, a dull harmony, and the endless procession of black and red gowns on every side. If I go to Art Exchange, I get the day's gossip, find out what's been axed or is about to be, hear the latest on outreach and employability, and on the fate of the Latin American collection. If I follow the crowd to Colchester, everywhere I look, there are Essex girls with fuck-off faces, in dresses a size too small and monster heels, and if I keep walking and turn off the high street, I find what's left of Roman Colchester, the shame of old monuments reduced to a pile of stones. 83. Don't think, Dudley, that the Essex of today is like the Essex which so delighted you once. One gets no satisfaction here, as in the old days, one cannot fuck students as one could back then. Sloman's daring vision is long dead and buried. The Ramones and the Gabrielli have departed. The kitchens stink, backbiting is common too, bullying, depression and debt. The vegan kitchen shuts down they're not part of the franchise. The meditation centre is now a work experience drop-in. The drug dealer has become a front runner. There is nothing to be seen but builders in helmets, nothing to be heard but hammers and the noise of drills, and another department review is awaited. 84. We do not spend our time here writing poetry, as we did in the 60s when David was in charge. If you really want to know how we spend our days, the next 10 lines will bring you right up to date. There is no time for research. We are too busy making research plans. There is no time for teaching. We are too busy on curriculum review. There is no time for conversation. We are too busy on email. There is no time for students. We are too busy monitoring student satisfaction. There is no time for culture. We are too busy on business plans. There is no time for education. We are too busy on employability. There is no time for marking. We are too busy reviewing assessment. There is no time for work. We are too busy on workload models. There is no time for literature. We are too busy on transferable skills. There is no time for thought. We think only of outcomes. 87. Mountain. How come the harder I try to get out of here, the more the animus of the place, like that shopping mall in Dawn of the Dead, pulls me back with its strange force? Is it misguided loyalty holding me back, or some insidious away-day voodoo, such that when we try to even think, we feel, little by little, our minds shrink? 1,000 times I've wanted to get the hell out, but I feel my brain turn into a pulp, my eyes bulging out of my head, my feet become rotting flesh. Look at me, Mountain. I'm nothing but a zombie now, protesting helplessly at my transformation. Like that bloke in Ariosto turned into a tree trunk. 105. To see one of the Vice-Chancellor's sidekicks, the author of the Tariff of Expectations, be made a Regius Professor is, Mountain, nothing peculiar. But to see a professor have her salary accelerated for landing a prestige fellowship at All Souls, then get approval from the Vice-Chancellor for chairing the Booker Prize International. Now that's impact. Only the next minute to be asked to take unpaid leave if she isn't available for teaching, and to be hauled before the executive dean and forced into a corner, leaving her no option but to resign. These are miracles, Mountain, you see only at Essex. That one was about my former colleague Marina Warner. 105. Who will deny Harvard unless he wishes to call into question the Times Good University Guide, that the Vice-Chancellor's suite, which is rightly thought heaven on campus, has, like the skies in mythology, its great Jupiter? The Greeks put one of them on Olympus, from where he hurled down his lightning bolts. The other thunders from Square 5, whenever some whistleblower writes to the THE. The heavenly Jupiter boasted his Ganymede. It takes a whole new level of middle management to meet the Essex Jupiter's needs. One gets pissed on nectar, the other on Wivenhoe House wine, but one detests tyrants while the other surrounds himself with them. Here the human is marked off from the divine. Last one, 111. I've never thought that the skies of Essex covered anything constant, beyond the constant din of the A12. Now, more than ever, Hilson, it seems that nothing lasts long, and that nothing built here is built firm. For he who controlled national security with his military precision and rigour wants to try out his boot camp philosophy on campus, leave the world and serve knowledge boldly. Then what do you make of this professor of robotics, who, having spent his best days teaching quietly at Essex, now finds work in military reconnaissance. I don't know which of the two is the more insane, Hilson, but in both cases it's late for a career change. I distrust the one's robotic fish as much as the other's graduation speeches.
I'd like to read 7 further poems. 1. They shall perish, and I'm pretty sure will take off like some monstrous swan. All the time his dark palps quivering, with his swollen dark palps and bold dark ranks. As one officer put it, we are not unidentified policemen in uniform. In like crisis management room contains a dull and lavish splendour. Far removed they shall perish. And I'm pretty sure of unidentified policemen in uniform, in grief on his lonely fell, although his dignified, almost sombre quiet, the kind life with all its silent loneliness, this loneliness silent, it's all with life. Dull and lavish splendour, far removed like crisis management room, contains a grief on his lonely fell, although his grandeurs sudden and all the time his dark palps quivering, take off like some monstrous swan, with swollen dark palps and bold dark ground and trees and patches of light buffeting wind, levering my gangling and sudden grandeurs. Indeed, it is a big broad galleon of buffeting wind, levering my gangling ground and trees and patches of light danger amid the blandishments, and indeed it is a big broad galleon of danger amid the blandishments and ranks. As one officer put it, we are not welcome to the land of heartbreak. Man drifts around with his donkey, dignified, almost sombre quiet. The kind chicken farmer longs for the hand of Hosni Mubarak. Man drifts around with his donkey, chicken farmer longs for the hand of Hosni Mubarak. Welcome to the land of heartbreak. 2. How to use Adobe Premiere Pro. Former executive at Xerox and his wife provide 2 emergency exits. Seldom are cause and effect so visible. We should deploy a background briefing. Billy's horrible fate is to involve trees. Their glistening branches called Michael Redmond. Do you mean trainees? He which uses words or phrases such as do you mean trainees? He who knows what will happen next, but what comes before it. The feeling of it is very hard to see at the moment, how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. Seldom are cause and effect so visible. We should deploy a background briefing using words or phrases such as their forbidden love begins to blossom. Their forbidden love begins to blossom. Who knows what will happen next, but artificial light, partly illuminated from plastic chairs and carried rather than windows, or by rickshaw, often carrying what comes before it, the feeling of windows, or by rickshaw, often carrying artificial light, partly illuminated from plastic chairs and carried rather than called Michael Redmond. Britain. This is palpably absurd. While former executive at Xerox and his wife provide 2 emergency exits, Billy's horrible fate is to involve trees. Their glistening branches asked us to go to that we would have been, not to be moved by what he was in. Britain. This is palpably absurd. While it is very hard to see at the moment, not to be moved by what he was in, asked us to go to that we would have been. 3. Chihua, who would become Hong Chihua, who would become Hong and Tung, joined a select band of Hong for the impossible task ahead. With last sun gilds the weathercock, and outshone by lurid mosses, the swollen last sun gilds the weathercock, and within the slate floor gleams with damp. When he's on and we don't know when, we take her in my arms and then. When he's on and we don't know when, we take her in my arms and then. On the floor, in front of the window, exhilaration suddenly turns to terror. His face is convulsed with fear. Hers, terror to suddenly turns exhilaration. Within, the slate floor gleams with damp, resolved. We have to be concerned his face is convulsed with fear. Hers didn't feel it was right, and it didn't take. And Tung joined a select band of Hong for the impossible task ahead, with what are they doing this morning in their hearts? What are they doing this morning? What he has to sell is a horse, rather than illicit love outshone by lurid mosses. The swollen, illicit love didn't feel it was right, and it didn't take in their hearts. Resolved. We have to be concerned that what he has to sell is a horse, rather than song about a horse. Song about a horse. Animals is mysterious and disturbing. On the floor in front of the window, animals is mysterious and disturbing. Everyone but him can see, can sow. Everyone but him can see. 4. Studies of the construction of identity. I do not, nor have I ever, said or said ever, I have not, nor do I. Beyond them, a sea of emerald green and beyond them, a sea of emerald green and ultramarine stretches unbroken until what we're seeing right now we are in, what we're seeing right now we are in. What this means, or if any of it makes us something we have never quite seen, or are something we have never quite seen, or what this means, or if any of it makes until unbroken stretches of ultramarine. Studies of the construction of identity, a more thoroughgoing critique. We keep on the assumption that there is a D, on the assumption that there is a D, a more thoroughgoing critique. We keep of the army of Boulogne. One morning they thought the women they bought lined up, separated by less than 6 inches, and they lined up, slamming together across the visible landscape, over roll, over 200 leagues, lines of operation of day, and league by league all the way, and coups and dictatorships, and then in 300 leagues of length were followed across the visible landscape, over roll, and they lined up, slamming together, and coups and dictatorships, and then in that on a line of departure, extending day and league by league all the way, lined up, separated by only 6 inches, they thought the women they bought of the army of Boulogne one morning. 5. Hours of frost-scabbed darkness each, Papa Doc and his playboy son and heir playing on the beach. Metropolis below bridge has forgot Jean-Claude Duvalier or Baby Doc. The Jean-Claude Duvalier or Baby Doc, Metropolis below bridge has forgot. Hours of frost-scabbed darkness each, Papa Doc and his playboy son and heir playing on the beach. Did this happen in China, or perhaps do the ubiquitous lichens and mosses? Heavy snowfall and low temperatures. The question is, where has all this stuff gone? I, Mikhail Kalashnikov, 93 years of completely inaudible remarks, which are obdurate, solid ceramic geometries, is all about you sit down at a desk and wreathed Red Army troops storm the complexity of its manufacture. Question is, where has all this stuff gone? That is going to be resolved, and that it, not that it was ever finished, it is engineered, their tones and surface end. It, not that it was ever finished, it is all about you sit down to the desk and heavy snowfall and low temperatures. For I, Mikhail Kalashnikov, 93 years of perhaps or China in happened this. Did wreathed Red Army troops storm? Do the ubiquitous lichens and mosses? And I think that's in the process of being completely inaudible remarks, which being a process the inverts think I and surface and tones, they're engineered is that is going to be resolved. and that geometry, ceramic, solid, obdurate are manufactured, it's of complexity, the end. 6. Self-betterment through prostitution. Self-betterment through prostitution. Who is nicknamed Little Flower on the bridge gets undercut by water scour. The warmth of the newly baked bread apparent, but the causes are little to be reassured that it does not contain the Iraq War as a fairy tale, the derogatory return of their dry cleaning, than by the Iraq War as a fairy tale, the derogatory gone with the wind apparent, but the causes are little going to have to do is directly confront return of their dry cleaning, than by the going to have to do is directly confront gone with the wind, to be reassured it does not contain the warmth of the newly baked bread. When all is said and done, the way means per day or per hour. War is bad and it's terrible the ice caps sing aboard the old lightships during, the Duvaliers are at times embezzling. This is good, but some voices might be pre-flop, the river came, value bet my blame game, over the breakdown began breakdown the over game, blame my bet value came, river the flop pre, making everything right. Get up close, sing aboard the old lightships during, close up ride everything making, the Duvaliers are at times embezzling. War is bad and it's terrible the ice caps. This is good, but some voices might be nothing moves and the world seems. When all is said and done, the way nothing moves and the world seems means per day or per hour. Who is nicknamed Little Flower on the bridge gets undercut by water scour. 7. Debt encrusted Mediterranean rim, thou oil painting in the Venetian period, aptly named muscle scalp, no doubt on pointed wings a little falcon glides. The sun was still behind the hills, creaking under its weight. The sun and the moon in the east end of cannot begin too soon transpired to be a body on a gate. So you put in for things and they come. So you put in for things and they come. The sun was still behind the hills, transpired to be a body on a gate. The sun and the moon in the east end of cannot begin too soon, creaking under its weight. Period Venetian thee in painting oil, thou rim Mediterranean encrusted debt, doubt no scalp muscle named aptly, on pointed wings a little falcon glides. Meets the committee. We left the city to meet the committee. She tried to explain, I couldn't find time to meet the committee. She tried to explain, I couldn't find time to deliver better outcomes. And as for the members of the committee are watching an animated PowerPoint soft glow. For the more adventurous are watching an animated PowerPoint East Anglia. Yet those vast landscapes meet the committee. We left the city to deliver better outcomes, and as for East Anglia yet, those vast landscapes soft glow. For the more adventurous, we don't know what it's like to be so. They really know how things are now. We don't know what it's like to be so. They really know how things are now. Thank you.
Some of you have heard some of this before. This is translation of Dante being relocated to Essa. I'll just read you bits of 2 cantos, beginning with Canto 1. Halfway through a bad trip, I found myself in this stinking car park, underground, miles from Amarillo. Students in thongs stood there, eating junk food from skips, flagmen spewing ease, their breath of fetid myrrh and ratsbane, donners and condemned chicken shin rose like distemper. Then I retched on rising ground, rabbits without ears, faces eaten away by myxomatosis, crawled towards a bleak lake to drink of new cottony. The stink would revive a sparrow spread eagle on a lectern. It so horrified my heart, I shut Botox. Here, by the toxic water, lay a spotted trout, its glow lighting paths for the VC. And nigh the bins, a giant rat, seediness oozing from her Flemish paws, pushed me backwards bit by bit into square 5 where the wind gnaws and sunshine is spent. By the cash point, a bum asked for a light, hoarse from long silence, beaming. When I saw him gyrate, his teeth all wasted, gnatch, his eyes long dead through speed and booze, I cried out, "Take pity, whatever you are, man or ghost." "Not man, though formerly a man," he says. "I hail from Providence, Rhode Island, a Korean vet. Once I was a poet. I wrote of bean spasms, was anthologized in Fuck You. You'll never bury me that spring where all the river of style freezes, I ask, all over my facials. I'm an American primitive," he says. "I make up each verse as it comes by putting things where they have to go. Oh, glory of every poet, have a light. May my Zippo benefit me now and all my stripping of your sonnets. You see this hairy she-rat that stalks me like a pimp? Get her off my back, for every vein and pulse throughout my frame she hath made quake. You must needs another way pursue," he says, winking while I shade my pin, "if you would escape this beast. Come, she lets none past her, save the VC, if she breathes on you your teaching nights. This way, freshman, come, if I'm not far wrong, we can find a bar and talk it over with Ed and Tom." I went where he led, across a square and down some steps, following the crowd. The SU bar where we queued for 30 minutes to get a watery beer was packed. Ed and Tom sat at a banquette in the corner, chain smoking and swapping jokes. Here we joined them till closing time, the beer doing the talking. "Look," said Tom, "if this guy's got funding and approval from the dean and whatever, why not take him round?" "Show him the works," said Ed. "No holds barred." "You mean," said Berrigan, "give him a campus tour, like give him hell?" "That's exactly what I mean," said Ed. "Let's drink to it," said Tom. At which we all raised our glasses, unsteadily clinking them together above the full ashtray. "Hell," pronounced Berrigan, gnomically, "is other people." Sarge said that. "Hell is hell." I said that. Now people were leaving. We shifted outside into the cold air where we lingered a moment, sharing a last cigarette, then parted, Ed and Tom going to their digs, leaving me and Ted to breathe the night air. Canto 3. Through me the way to the doleful campus, through me the way to eternal debt, through me the way to the forsaken generation. Freedom of thought inspired my founders, political expediency ruined me, coupled by betrayal of principle and pledge. Before me nothing but eternal things were made. Now I shall mark you eternally, abandon all hope, you who enter here. I saw these words spelled out on a digital display above the entrance to the knowledge gateway. "Master," I said, "this is scary." Berrigan answered me, speaking with a drawl. Now you need to grit your teeth. This isn't the moment to shit yourself. We're at the spot I spoke about where you will see souls in pain who perverted the good of intellect. Placing his hand on my shoulder and flashing me a smile and a look, one that reassured me, he led me in. Here groans and cries and shrieks of grief echoed through the freezing fog and made me weak with fear. Confusion of tongues, Greek, Polish, Arabic, German, Dutch, strained with notes of tortured woe, rose into the sightless air like frenzied seagulls at a landfill site. And I, what's this noise I hear? Who are all these tortured by grief? And Berrigan replied, they are surfers, dudes who coasted through life, drifting in and out of degrees and jobs without conviction. They are mixed with those repulsive civil servants, neither faithful nor unfaithful to their leaders, whose love was all for self. Oxbridge, to keep its reputation, annulled their degrees, and even Essex would not honour them. Master, I asked, what's eating them? Why are they making such a racket? That, he says, I can tell you in a nutshell. They have no hope of death, yet the life they lead is so low, they envy all the other shades. Nobody on earth will remember them. Funding bodies dismiss them out of hand. Let's not talk about it. Look and walk on. And as I looked, I saw in the gloom a giant screen, and on it the giant mouth of a talent show host, a man called Callow, if I called it right. In front of the screen, such a crowd had gathered, I wondered how death could have undone so many. A few of these tortured souls I recognized, among them a couple of redheads, one who had amassed a few credits in philosophy and literature before drifting into telecommunications sales, another who had been unable to choose between poetry and stand-up. These wretches were stripped naked and picked on by wasps and hornets which buzzed in their ears and made their swollen faces run with blood and pus where fat maggots fed. When I looked away from this awful sight, I saw another crowd queuing by the bank of a swamp which had formed in a building site. Master, I asked, are these more students? What makes them so eager to make this crossing? And Berrigan, my guide, replied, hold your horses, you'll see soon enough. And I, biting my lip, said nothing more until we reached the muddy shore. Then suddenly, coming towards us in a bark, an old man, hoary white with eld, bellowed, woe to you, wicked students, hope not ever to see a grant again. I come to take you to the main campus, into eternal loans, there to dwell in sticky heat and dry ice, and thou who there standest, live spirit, get thee hence and leave these who are dead. And when he saw I didn't budge, he added, by other way shalt thou come ashore, not by this passage, thee a nimbler boat must carry. Then Berrigan spoke slowly. This is no time to get imperious, Dr. May. It is willed by Senate. That is all you need to know. Step aside. His words brought silence to the woolly cheeks of the boatman guarding the muddy swamp, whose eyes glowed like burning coals. But all the students, shagged out and naked, grew pale, and their teeth began to chatter at the pronouncement they'd heard. They cursed the day they were born. They cursed the coalition. They cursed their fathers for not having vasectomies. Then, like lost souls wailing bitterly, they squelched knee-deep in mud towards the shore of the forsaken building site. Dr. May called them together with his ferryman's song, and with his oar he walloped the latecomers, saying, "That on your sacks falls." As at the start of the autumn term, when the leaves begin to fall, covering the ground with a slippery carpet, so did the doomed freshers drop from that shore into the bark, lured by the siren song. Off they go across the swamp waters, and before they reach the opposite shore, a new crowd gathers on this side. "My friend," Peregrine said to me then, "everyone who wants to get a degree gathers here from all corners of the globe. They want to cross the swamp. They're eager. It is the fear of being left on the scrap heap that urges them on into debt and toil and hardship. Only a fool would follow. So if Dr. May warns you off, you see what he's saying." As he finished, the ground shook with a violent tremor as the Wivenhoe Fault opened anew in the Paleozoic rocks. A whirlwind burst out of the cracked earth, a wind that crackled like an electric storm. It struck my body like a cattle prod, and as a man in Guantanamo Bay, I fell.